Hello, I'm Ashley Thomas and welcome to my channel. If you're new to the channel, then please hit like and hit subscribe. It will help me out a lot. Also, this background, this sort of setup that I got going on at the moment is not permanent. We haven't long moved into our first house, a new house. So I'm still sort of planning out on how I want to what I want for the setup and where I want to place the camera and all of that. So nothing is set in stone. So this is I'm just throwing this up because I don't want it to hold back from me creating videos and content for my channel. So last night I went to see Alita Battle Angel, a film directed by Robert Rodriguez, produced by James Cameron, one of my favourite directors of all time, James Cameron. Here he produces and helps bring to life the world of Alita Battle Angel onto the screen. Apparently this film has been in sort of development hell for years. I'm not familiar with the original source material in which this movie is based upon, the manga which is based upon, so I can't compare it to the manga and that original source material. So in a way I sort of went into this film a little bit blind to, you know, the world and the characters and all of that. So the film follows a cyborg named Alita. She is discovered in a scrapyard by a doctor called Edu. So he sort of creates this new body for her, and but she wakes up and she has no memory of her past and where she comes from, only that she comes from the sky, a city that actually is sort of floating in the sky called Zalam. And so she tries to discover where she's come from and, you know, what was she built for, what was her purpose. So I'm going to jump straight into some praise here for this movie. And that is, this movie, the world that they've brought to life on the screen just looks gorgeous. It is stunning. The story is based within a city, it's called Iron City, and the way they've sort of brought this city and this world to life on the screen, I just thought, look, it was gorgeous. And a lot of the sets that they were on were actually real. Like, there is a lot of CGI used, but a lot of the sets that they were on, like mainly when they're in the streets of the city, were real. And I really appreciated that because it helps really ground the film and sort of be, you know, it becomes a world in which is very tangible and a world that is lived in. And this is, you know, this is achieved by the way in which these scenes are shot. When you get these scenes which are within the streets of this city, when they're on real sets, the way in which they're shot are very close and intimate, so you don't really get to see much else of the city around other than the set that they're actually on, which looks, you know, which look very real. And so as a result, it really helps immerses you into this fantasy world, you know, and the world becomes and feels just that little bit more real as a result. And like I said, a lot of that is achieved by the way Rodriguez shot these particular scenes within the city, within these streets. So as a result, I think there's a perfect blend really of CGI and real sets within this movie, I felt. So you have Iron City, but then you also have the floating city, the city in the sky, which is called Zalam. And that's where all sort of the wealthy and the powerful live. And Alita befriends and falls in love with a Hugo who has this dream of going to live in this floating city. And she tries to help him achieve this goal. But it reminded me a lot of Elysium. There are some really great action scenes in this movie. They're a lot of fun, very intense. I just had a lot of fun when it came to this movie. I did enjoy Alita quite a bit, even though I had no knowledge of the source material in which this story is based upon. I had so much fun because there's a lot of action in this movie, and there's a lot of fun, creative, and very visually striking action scenes within this movie. And the CGI is also amazing as well. I mean, there's some really good CGI in this film. Like, there are certain moments in the film which I thought looked very it did look very obvious that it was CGI, but it didn't sort of throw me out of the story, it didn't throw me out the film. So that leads me to the main character, Alita, and sort of the big eyes that you've got. And I really thought, I was actually worried before going to watch this film that sort of those sort of really big eyes, which is it is sort of odd, especially when I seen the trailer for the first time. I was like, oh, this is new and different. I was afraid they was gonna throw me out of the movie because this character is CGI. The actress that's playing Alita is named Rosa Salazar. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And so you see a lot of her expressions through the motion capture. But I really thought that having this character completely CGI with the big eyes was really gonna throw me out of the movie, and that I wouldn't actually be able to believe in the character. But it didn't throw me out at all. I really sort of grew to like the character Alita, and a lot of that was down to Rosa Salazar's performance as this character. She was amazing as Alita, just through the expressions, just the way she performed this character and how she was brought to life on the screen. I really ended up liking and believing in this character so much, even though she was a CGI character with these big eyes. I believed in her, and for me that was a massive achievement, because it was one of those things that I was really worried about after watching the trailers, and that I actually believed that this character Alita existed in this world, which is quite funny really, because then when it comes to the human character Hugo, who she befriends and ends up falling in love with, he's played by Keean Johnson. I really did not believe in this character at all. I really think the character of Hugo was miscast. I'm not a fan of his performance within the movie, especially compared to Rosa Salazar's performance as Alita. She was amazing, but when it came to Hugo, his performance was very, very wooden, and I just didn't believe in the character. And there was just something about his character that was very fake. I don't know what it was, but I felt like he didn't quite exist in this world. And it was quite funny because the character that's a robot, that's CGI, I believed in, and then you've got this human character that you can see is in this world, within this setting. I just didn't buy him. I just didn't believe in it, and I just felt like they could have thrown a little bit more dirt on him. Do you get what I'm saying? His character just felt very fake, like it didn't really exist in that world. And along with his performance, his very wooden performance, I just thought Hugo, played by Keean Johnson, was just very, very miscast. And that leads me into the love story aspect of the film. A lot of people didn't quite believe in the love story. I actually didn't mind the love story. It's a little bit cheesy in how it comes about, but it's a love story. So I actually didn't mind it. My only problem with the love story was Hugo, that particular character. I really think if they'd managed to find someone else to play that character, then I think the love story would have played out just a little bit better. So that when it required that emotional clout that this love story needs, that big heart, then I think it would have just played out a little bit better. Because I feel like that's what the love story and that particular story between those two characters, Alita and Hugo, really needed. Was that emotional punch when required, and that big heart. And as a result, it really lacked that because of that performance and what I felt was the miscasting of Hugo. But that's not the only aspect that affected that for me, the love story. And that is the narrative, the screenplay within Alita is very muddled. I found the narrative and the story very confusing at times, and I'm not entirely sure if that's because I'm not familiar with the original source material. But it was like, this film is very fast paced as well. Like I said, there's a lot of action in this movie, and this movie is relentless. It doesn't stop. And I felt like I really wanted it to just slow down in moments and have a bit more character moments. But I think as a result of the pacing and the narrative, at times it really sort of, in moments, it threw me out of the story. So it wasn't actually the character Alita that ended up throwing me out of the story. This fully CGI'd character played through motion capture, that didn't throw me out of this world. But the actual narrative, the way this film was the way the story was actually put together on the screen and how it played out, for me was just a little bit confusing. I ended up asking a lot of questions while I was watching while I was watching this film, but the film really doesn't give you time to ask those questions and think about what's going on because it's so fast paced. Maybe that's just me, I really don't know. I felt like these characters' journeys throughout the film was never really fully explored. And I do feel the editing in places was a little sloppy as well. It's sort of this world that they've created on the screen, you know, Iron City. It was beautiful, it was gorgeous, it was lovely to look at, but the way they sort of introduced you into this world, especially if you've never read the manga which is based upon, you're gonna be a little confused, I felt, and they didn't really help with that in terms of the narrative, the screenplay. I felt like the film could have added a bit more to the runtime, so it could have maybe just have slowed it down a little bit when it came to the pacing. And there's a lot to take in with this film. I mean, this is obviously a very rich world that they're exploring, that they were trying to bring to life, and they were obviously setting up for future movies. And for me, it just became a little bit confusing, and at times I was thrown out as a result of how the narrative, the very muddled narrative. But other than that, and the miscasting when it came to Hugo, which I felt affected sort of the heart of the movie and, you know, the love story, this was a very enjoyable movie for me. You know, I think the action in this film is so much fun, especially the motorball scene during the third act. I just thought that was incredibly fun and intense, especially the way the camera to move. Again, it never went during these moments, during the action scenes, it doesn't throw you out the film. It is really so the action in this movie is very immersive. And so when it comes to how this film was created from a technical standpoint, it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's just the real problems with me was the narrative, the screenplay, and how the story was brought together and how it was put together. I also feel like the movie lacked any real threat, like a villain. It really lacked a villain for me. Like, you've got the villain, the main villain named Nova. He's up in the city, you know, in the sky, which you don't really sort of see much of. But then when it comes to where the film is sort of mainly based in Iron City, there is no real sort of main villain as such. Like, you've got all these sort of these cyborgs and these bounty hunters that are sort of after Alita, and that was cool, but it sort of really lacked that presence of a villain, which I really wanted. Saying that, when it comes to sort of the design of the movie as well, and the aesthetic, so, you know, the design of the characters, like some of the bounty hunters in this movie, the hunter warriors, I believe they called, I loved the design of this one bounty hunter. I thought it was so cool, and so yeah, when it came to the design and the aesthetic of the movie, I just really dug it. But for me, what really saved this movie was Rosa Salazar's performance as Alita. She was amazing. She really sort of had you believe in this character, and I felt for this character. You know, I felt I wanted this character to achieve what she wanted to achieve. I really grew to like this character, and I believed in her, and I think as a result of that, she really saved this film, I feel. So yeah, they are my thoughts on Alita Battle Angel, and I will be giving Alita Battle Angel a B-. What do you guys think of Alita Battle Angel? Please let me know below. Did you love it or did you hate it? Are you familiar with the original source material that it's based upon? Let me know below, and let's get a discussion going. Again, I want to apologise for the lack of reviews recently. Like I've said previously, we bought ourselves a puppy. And along with work and everything, that's sort of taking up a lot of time. But that is going to change very, very soon. I've got a lot of videos planned actually over the coming weeks. A lot in which I plan on filming over this weekend. And so I'm just going to drop gradually over the coming weeks. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And remember, if you want to see future reviews from me and just general movie talk and everything geeky, then why not hit subscribe?